If you don't apply the right knowledge to romantic love, you can hurt yourself and even hurt another person. You are better off being single than being in the wrong relationship or being in an abusive relationship. You don't go into a relationship to figure out if you want to get married to a person. Hi everyone, my name is Omomi and you're welcome to this YouTube channel. If you're new here, one thing you need to know is that I am very passionate about seeing relationships and marriages thrive. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some very important things you need to know about courtship in college or university. So if you're just getting into college or getting out of college, then this video is definitely for you. Before I go into sharing very important tips, I'd like to share a very short story, which is a personal story for me. While I was in secondary school, which is high school, before I got into university, I had like my mates, friends who were already in relationships. They had boyfriends, girlfriends, and so it felt like I was left out of the whole thing. And so the the moment I was asked out by somebody from another popular school in Lagos, I immediately jumped at the opportunity and said yes, and then I got into a relationship without even giving it a second thought. And so what really happened in the relationship was just phone calls, hanging out. Nothing reasonable was really happening. It was just have you eaten, how are you, just simple questions. And there was no future in view. We were just enjoying the day as it came. So it wasn't until I got into university before him, or into college before him, that I began to see how much time we were wasting, how that the relationship did not exactly have a future in mind. Even though we loved each other, we genuinely liked each other. He was a kind guy. I wasn't a bad person to him as well. We were very friendly and things were going so well, but we didn't have any reason for being in that relationship except that everybody else was doing it. And so the moment I got into school and he was out of school, I figured that there were so many differences, so many gaps, and then his vision for his life wasn't aligning with mine. He was saying some things that did not align with my own principles, and so I just had to say that I wasn't interested, and then I ended the relationship. After that, I got into another one that still did not make so much sense now that I'm looking at it from here. So I'm sharing this story, or I shared this story, because I don't want to come off as someone on a high horse who had everything figured out while I was in college, and so I'm trying to drag you into figuring things out. I don't want you to repeat the same mistakes that I made, and that's why I want to let you know things that you need to know about dating or courtship in college. So for the purpose of this series, we're going to be using the term courtship, because I feel like many people are disrespecting the dating term a lot. So we're going to be using courtship so that we know that we are talking about serious things. So the first thing I want you to know about love generally, or even romantic love, is that it is a beautiful thing. It is not something to be ashamed of. It's okay, especially after you've hit this puberty stage, to fall in love, to be attracted to the opposite sex, and to want to be in a relationship. So it's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely okay. You are normal. You have blood flowing through your vein, and so you shouldn't be ashamed of the fact that you like somebody. Yeah. So having established that, I also want to say that the fact that you're falling in love with a person or that you like a person doesn't mean you should jump into asking them out or jump into saying yes when they ask you out. There are so many things that you need to consider before you say yes to them. I'm going to share in a couple of series, or maybe our next video, those things you need to consider. But another thing I want you to know about love is that I want you to picture a knife, or a cooking knife, a kitchen knife, and how that a kitchen knife is very helpful in dicing up stuff in the kitchen, in preparing the food for cooking. However, that same knife can hurt you if you use it in a wrong way. That's exactly how romantic love works. If you don't apply the right knowledge to romantic love, you can hurt yourself and even hurt another person. And I know that you don't want to do that. Many people who get hurt in relationship don't set out wanting to be hurt or wanting to hurt other people. It's because they don't have the right knowledge. It's because they don't know anything about it, but they just dive into it because their feelings says so, or their feelings say so. So I don't want you to do that while you're in school. I don't want you to, just jump into things because your emotions are like that, or because every other person is doing it. Yeah, so the purpose for getting into a relationship with a person should be because you see yourself in the nearest future living with them for forever. And what I mean is that you see yourself getting married to them. If you don't see yourself getting married to a person, if you cannot picture yourself being the spouse to this person, then I don't think you should go into a relationship with them. If you have been watching our videos from when we started, you will know that we've always been establishing that you don't go into a relationship to figure out if you want to get married to a person. You must have first written out, thought about it, prayed about it, and then decided that you really want to spend the rest of your life with a person before you go into a relationship with them. That way you'll be cutting so many, long decision making, or cutting yourself so many heartbreak that could possibly happen if you don't do this thing. Another advantage of deciding whether you want to spend the rest of your life with a person before getting into a relationship with them is that it helps you to know in a relationship, when you face issues, that you can solve this thing together. You know that whatever comes our way, we can solve it together. Having said all of these things, if during college you have decided that you are going to, focus on your studies, you're going to do everything that you have to do, and you don't have time for relationship, and then your heart starts moving in ways that that you did not plan for. One other thing I'm going to advise you to do is to be accountable to somebody. Don't just like I said before, don't just jump into asking people out, or don't just jump into telling people that you like them. Be accountable to someone. It could be your parent, it could be your guardian, even the pastor in your church, if in your school, if you have a pastor in your school, or a guardian, or someone you have been assigned to who is responsible for you. Be very willing to open up your heart to them. Another way you will know if the reason for your getting attracted to a person is not a concrete reason is when you feel like you should hide it from people. Because if something is really good, you would not want to hide it from people. But if you see that this thing has a very great potential, you want it to be, nurtured and guarded by people who have your best interest at heart. So I'll advise you to, reach out to someone who you are accountable to, or find someone who you can be accountable to. One common thing about people getting into college or university is that they are just leaving high school or secondary school, and many of these people have not figured out their purpose on earth. So I'm going to advise you that your college time, the time you spend in school, apart from spending time focusing on your studies, focusing on your education, figure out what you're on earth for. If you haven't, then this is the best time to find out what you're on earth for. And the best way you can do that is to serve. How can you serve now? What can you do now to be of help to other people? How can you be useful to the society? So serve. Find time to serve. Figure out who you are. You don't want to get married to somebody who doesn't know who they are. You also don't want somebody to get married to you when you haven't figured out who you are yet. So spend time doing all of these things. If you occupy your mind with the right things, if you get busy doing the right things, you will not have time to do the wrong thing, basically. So find out, discover who you are. If this is something that is really hard for you, you can reach out to me. My husband helps people when it comes to leadership, purpose, self-discovery, and so we're very happy to guide you along this path. So yeah, spend your college time figuring out who you are, doing the right things, studying, And so the purpose of this video is not just to tell you, to go and start a relationship when you get into college. It's to let you know that there are so many things that you actually need to consider. There are so many costs that you have to count before you jump into a relationship. One of the costs being that the purpose for being in school is to be in school, and so if any other thing is coming, then that thing has to be very reasonable, and it has to be thoughtfully done. You don't have to do everything that everybody is doing. There's nothing wrong in being different from people. And like I said in the beginning story, that it was because of peer pressure that I got into a relationship. You don't want that to be your case. There is no award for being in a relationship. In fact, you are better off being single than being in the wrong relationship or being in an abusive relationship. So take your time to study people, to study yourself. In fact, if you find that you are getting attracted to a person, ask yourself questions like, why do I like this person? What have I seen that is attracting me to them? Do I want to get into a relationship with them for marriage, or is it just lustful reasons? Is it my emotions? Is it my hormones? What's going on? Just ask yourself questions. The moment your mind sees that you're always scrutinizing, wanting to know why, don't let me say it to respect itself, but you always see that you don't jump into conclusions, you don't jump into doing things. So when you're able to answer these questions, then you will know what to do next. And if you're unable to answer it, like I said before, be accountable. In the next couple of videos, I'll be sharing some important things you need to know about how to know if you should get into a relationship, the things you need to know once you find out that you actually really like a person, and so many other important things. And I'm very hopeful that my husband will join me so that we can see from my perspective and his perspective, and then we have a more balanced view. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if you found it useful, and if you have questions about this college series or university series, please send them in and we'll be very happy to answer them. Thank you so much, and bye bye.